When I say Black Americans aren't African, all of a sudden it's, there are 54 countries in Africa. Of course I know. Which African country are we from? Which one? Quickly. Tell us. Which African country are Black Americans from? You want us to be African so bad. Claim Africa, they said. Stop denying Africa, they said. Which country? I know you're going to say, do some DNA ancestry. DNA ancestry admits blatantly to you it's for entertainment purposes and it is not science. You can actually call them yourself and ask them yourself, does the African in African American denote Africa, the continent? You know what they're going to tell you? No. Go play with somebody that doesn't possess common sense. I'm not the one.
Now, this African American woman is talking about common sense. She thinks she got a lot of sense. She knows where she comes from, and that place is definitely not Africa, because we have 54 countries in Africa, and African Americans comes from none of them. We should prove her where she comes from. But this person who is talking about common sense do not even have that common sense. It is very sad. She don't know that the slave masters who took her ancestors to the United States, where she is right now, created the boundaries in Africa, making it 54 countries, the divide and conquer strategy. That is the same process. That is the same procedure they used to kidnap our people, to capture our people, and put them in chains and send them to the Americas. Some landed in northern part of America, some landed in southern part of America. And this lady who claims that she knows all doesn't know that the slave masters created the boundaries, the borders that makes 54 countries in Africa. Because when they are busy capturing people in the western side, they don't want people in the eastern side of Africa to do anything to help the people at the western side. The slave masters created these borders to benefit their slave trade, to benefit their supremacist activities in Africa. So this woman, this young lady who is talking about common sense, that Africans should stop imposing Africa narratives on them because they are indigenous in the United States. None of their people migrated from Africa. They were already there. She don't know anything. In fact, she don't even know the real Native Americans. And I know the Native Americans are watching and laughing at the same time. Because you came from Africa. You were never there in the United States. You were never there in the American continent. God created every race and put them at their appropriate place in God's own wisdom. That is why we Africans, our skin color is black and our hair texture is very hard because we live under the sun. We live in the continent whereby the sunshine is very straightforward on the continent. The sun, the heat that we experience in Africa is hotter than anywhere. That is why we have this skin color. That is why we have this hair texture in God's own wisdom. If you go to Asia, they have their own people there. They are created different. If you go to Europe, they have their own people. They are created different. So you cannot tell me that Black Americans or African Americans were already in the Americas. No, we were created in Africa and we were put in Africa for a purpose. So if you are in the United States today and you are ashamed of your roots, that is your own ignorance. That is your own cup of tea. You know something, sometimes when I hear some African Americans, some Black Americans speaking, I feel like they are not educated. They don't have anything in their heads. They don't have any basic education. I am not saying all of them. Some are very intelligent. But most of them, when I hear them talking, I don't get anything from them. Excuse me by my language. But this is the truth.
African Americans are not from Africa. Colored people, black people are not from Africa. We are not the same. We are the indigenous people of these lands. right? When Columbus came here, we were the people that he saw. Copper-colored people, twisted up hair, look just like me. But the thing is, a lot of people around the world are very upset of this revelation, which doesn't make sense. Because why do y'all always pick and choose when to be our enemy and when to not be our enemy? When we rapping and singing and dancing and playing basketball and football and baseball and all these other things, y'all love us. Oh my gosh, look at them. They're so great. Look at how they do it. Yeah, look at them dancing. But the moment we start speaking on how to better our people, better our communities, y'all turn against us. Y'all shut down. And that's not okay. Because one thing that I've learned in this life is all skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Black Americans, listen, please stop referring to yourself as African American. That Pan-Africanism, that whole movement to unify Black Americans with Africans, listen, that's a hoax. They want a destiny swap with us. They want to take our culture and our dollars and take it back to Africa. You see what they did with the Essence Festival. If y'all keep feeding into this narrative that we are all the same, they are brothers and sisters, what's going to end up happening is when it comes time for reparation for what our ancestors went through, not theirs, the ones that they sold, not theirs, what's going to happen is they're going to send Black America's reparations over to Africa. And they are not our friends, they are not our allies, and I hope y'all can realize. Some African Americans even say that Africans are jealous of them. We want to steal their culture. We want to be like them. We want to steal their music. Let me tell you, there is nothing that we are stealing from you African Americans. You do not even have a culture because your forefathers were forced to change their African names to the Western names. They were forced to abandon their culture. They were forced to abandon their languages. When they reached the shores of the American continent, they were still having their local languages. They were speaking their local languages, but they were forced to stop speaking their local languages because the slave master were having this mentality that if they can communicate in a language that he cannot understand them, then they will plan to escape. So they were forced to speak one common language. And what are you telling me that Africans want to steal the African American culture? Because you lost your culture. You don't have any culture. You know, this is a bitter truth that it is only the wise who want to admit to this bitter truth. But the one who lack common sense, as the lady was talking about common sense, but she don't even have, will still argue. This is very sad that our own Africans, our own Black people who were taken away, who were stolen, who were captured in chains, are turning against us today. We Africans are not forcing you to come back to Africa. We Africans are not forcing you to leave the United States, to leave the American continent and come back to Africa. But all that we are doing is to create love between us because we are one people. All that we want is to break that bridge, that boundary that the slave master has set between the two of us so that we can communicate. We can bring back the bond and know very well that we are one people. We are preaching love. We are not preaching jealousy or hatred as you people perceive it to be. This is misinformation that most African Americans are throwing at us Africans. But what can we do? This is how some of them think, and this shows how some of them lack knowledge. Some of them. I will end my argument here. Drop your comment at the comment section. Let's start the conversation at the comment section. My name is Don Cyrus. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it. I will see you in my next video. I appreciate it. Stay awesome.